guys, it's Kate, and I hope you're having a wonderful day today. I'm grabbing just a plain #2 pencil and starting with my mark making. I'm doing another intuitive abstract. We'll see what happens, but I've got this one divided into 6 sections. So when we're done, we're going to have 6 different paintings, and they'll all be cohesive. They'll all go together, and we'll have some fun just making some marks. And I might try to do a few different things, but right now I'm not paying attention. I just want to loosen up, get something on the page, and just kind of play around with texture. And I can, pick things up, make some shapes, maybe circles, maybe triangles, squares, rectangles, whatever. There's a parallelogram. So, do whatever you want. Just have some fun and loosen up. And if you have like little shapes you might like to make, you can do that too. Maybe I make some of these sort of blobby shapes and add some interesting texture here to the paper. All right, I think I'm going to finish with that. And then next I'm going to just grab my pigment liner. This is just a fine liner pen, and it's permanent when it dries. And I'm just going to go through and add some other marks right over my pencil. And this is a gessoed paper, so it's going to take the color and stuff really nicely. It's also protected a bit if I have wetness on the paper. So we'll just kind of go through here, and then I'm going to make sure that we have a good amount of layers. You can never have too many layers. At least that's what I keep saying, because it's a lot of fun to make them. You just never know what you're going to come up with, what is going to jump out at you. And just while I'm sitting here chatting, I have this sort of weird shape developing here, but it's interesting. So you never know what you can kind of start coming up with. And this is almost like a continuation of my beginnings here. So you just kind of almost evolve your marks as you go. And you just try different things, and it can be covered up if you don't like it. It could be covered up in parts if you don't like it. But you might find something that's just really neat and that you can kind of go on. But we don't have to make any of those decisions right now. Now I'm going to kind of follow along some of these areas, and I've been kind of liking, almost like I have a thread, and I'm just kind of letting it trail around the page. Maybe there's a little pile of thread right here, and then it kind of untangles itself and goes over here. It's kind of interesting when you're just pretending what you might be doing or what it might be. Like I could say, okay, this one might be some trees with leaves, and I'll start out with a trunk, and I can pick up my pen or not pick up my pen, and maybe I just want to make a tree. And here's some bark. And then I'll go back up here and just make some doodly leaves. Just like this. It doesn't have to actually be a tree, but you're just making interesting marks. And I've got some of these little shapes and plus signs and different things over here. So maybe I make some blobs over that, and maybe I want to go over this shape a few different times, and so I can just kind of come in here and continue with these blobs. And how about I just do 3 of them? I almost started a 4th one. As soon as I said 3, we're gonna do 4. Maybe I have a few more of these sort of fun shapes here. Maybe I go over some of these again, almost give it like a layered look. And I need to get off of this pen soon because I want to start using some paint. How about we do that now? So I've got this Victorian blue, and I think I'd like to start with a glaze. So I'm going to put some of this out on my plate, but I want to water it down a little bit so that I can spread it and you can still see a lot of this coming through. So I'm going to add a few little squirts of water from my spray bottle, and I'm going to take my silicone spreader tool and just mix it up a little bit on my plate. And this is going to water it down quite a bit. It'll still stick to my paper, but it will be very transparent. And I'm just going to kind of scoop it and go. And start from different directions and just go wherever I feel like. And it kind of has a glazing effect too because it dries so quickly because it's such a thin layer. When you go over it again, it's like glazing because it's like a second layer going on dry paint. So you can get some interesting marks that way too. But I want to get just some nice solid color on here. But I'm not ready yet for anything that is opaque. So I'm just going to finish up what's left in my plate, just like this. I'm going to do the same thing with this olive green. And I'm going to fill in some of the spots that don't have any color yet. And a little bit of that blue that's just kind of left over, watering down, might mix, but that's actually a good thing because then it's going to give that green just a little bit of a hint of that blue, and so they'll go together nicely on the page. And this is also pretty watery, and I really love that. That's kind of neat. It's almost like a khaki green. And I'm just going over everything again, but I'm going to try to fill in some of these spots that don't really have any color. But if I go over some of my blue, I don't mind because it's still transparent. And so we can just add that nice background color to our page. And it's just starting to build those nice layers. I'm trying to, it's easy to just keep going like bam, bam, bam. I'm trying to be mindful of that and vary my strokes because I just tend to keep sweeping to the right. So maybe on this one, I go up, and don't forget your diagonals. We got a lot of texture going on here. We have a good amount of color on our page. I think we've got a good start. So now I want to start adding some new textures in here. So I grabbed my stencil, and this is kind of like a series of short lines. And I am going to, let's see, I'll go about it this way. I'm going to grab my little sponge and another color. And I might go for a different green. So this one is Hunter Green, and it's kind of like a, almost like a forest green. And I'm not going to dilute that one, but I'm just going to grab it with my makeup sponge, and we can get a little bit of contrast in here. And I'm just going to go over a few of these spots. I'm not going to put stencil over the whole entire thing, but I do want to add some interest. So I'm kind of rubbing it in some spots instead of dabbing it. And let's see. I like that. That looks neat. Okay, so I'm going to maybe put it this way over here and do the same thing. Maybe I like this shape here, And I really like this one that almost looks like a path, and we'll use that. And up here, I like these long stripes, and maybe this sort of larger shape there. Maybe this other stripe going down the side. Yeah, that's a good one. Okay, let's get a little bit more. I think I want to maybe color this one in and get some of those narrow lines. And I'm just really getting in those sort of cracks. I want to make sure I get good coverage where I am choosing to have coverage. Good. All right. And one more. So I think I'm going to embrace this bigger pattern again. So I'm going to get that there. And then some of these diagonal ones and these sort of thinner lines over there. And that looks really good to me. I love the pattern. Isn't it amazing what pattern can do? It just changes your whole page. All right, I'm going to go into my sunshine yellow. This is a nice yellow because it's bright and sunny, but it's not quite so highlightery as this one. This one's much more bright and golden. This is more of a soft kind of lemony yellow or sunshine yellow. And so I'm going to grab a smaller brush and dip into it and start putting down some more pattern. And I want to kind of brighten these up again a little bit. And so I'm just going to put in some marks. And I'm going to embrace pattern here. So I'm going to do one kind of mark on this one, and I'm going to do some of these sort of circles, dots, whatever you want to call them, and sort of scatter these around a few spots. And it's just going to add some more brightness and pattern to this page. And let me see, I might put a little bit more here. This one's kind of just by itself. So I will just sort of fill that out. And leave that just as it is. Over here, I might do some lines. Just like that. And it's going to be kind of like a layer of lines over the other lines. And maybe I go crossways on this since I have those other lines pointing downward. Just like that. Okay, I paused recording quickly just because I have a curtain back here and the light outside just keeps changing. And the sun is going in and out of clouds, and so it keeps going bright and dark. So I went ahead and just reset my exposure. That way, hopefully you can see this better and a little bit truer to color. So I'm doing some circles over here, more rounded, hollow, and I'm putting them just around wherever I feel like. I'm not trying to do any kind of determining, what's going to be what yet. I just want to get some nice texture, pattern, color down, and maybe I will use this white space over here to make a little bit of pattern, and maybe down here as well. Just a little bit of almost a scalloped edge. And I've got some lines here. Maybe I can put one here. Yeah. All right. I kind of like these two sort of crescents, so I think I'm going to sort of highlight those a bit with a stronger mark, and maybe I'll add a little bit of water to this just to help it spread a little bit better because the paint is a little bit thick. And I think that looks pretty good. Why don't we just follow this out? Who's to say we can't? I like that outline, so I'm going to bring that in here just a little bit. Yeah. Now maybe this one, maybe I kind of fill in this space a little bit. And just kind of make this solid. And I've got a little bit of that green still wet underneath, but I think that's fine. I like this so far. Okay, I grabbed some black, white, and crimson. So I think I'm going to start with the white. I want to get some brights in here, some very darks, and also a nice pop of red, which is a complementary color to the green, which I mostly have on these. So I'm going to start here, and I kind of like these little shapes I had with the yellow. So I'm going to create one with the white, and I'm going to kind of have it come here and come straight down just like this. I'm going to fill it in so that it's pretty strong, and it'll break up that one curve there that I've got coming through the painting. And then I kind of want this little diagonal line to run parallel to this, so it's just going to be sort of a fun shape, just like that. And I'm going to come in and make sure I do kind of a heavy-ish coat because I want this to be pretty bright. And I think that looks good. So I'll leave that there. And then I'm going to put another one, maybe right here. I'm just going to go right over this yellow, just like that. And how about another stripe here and coming right through here. Yeah, I like that. It's very random. Okay, so here I think I'm going to brighten this little spot here up. And also this little triangle here that's kind of coming through my shapes. And I might also add some more lines here, maybe right through here. Yeah. Here, think I want to let this blue come next to this and kind of outline this little area here and come out like this. I'm just following some areas that I think look interesting from my marks that are on the bottom layer, and some of these shapes that have kind of naturally happened with where I put my marks and paint. So I'm just sort of thinking too about where I want my focal point area, and I'm just sort of brightening up some things here. I like that little green spot, so I am going to keep that and go around a couple of these little blobbies that I had doodled before. I think that's kind of neat. All right, for this one, I'm going to actually go around some of these little block shapes and kind of highlight them so you can see them better. And I might skip a couple and continue up here and skip one and do one down there. Yeah. This looks a little like two eyes and a mouth. So I think to avoid that, I'm going to go ahead and do another shape there. All right, here, I kind of like these blue shapes that are going up. So what I might do is just outline those. I like how they just kind of come up right through the center. And continue through the whole piece. And I think that's about all I'll put in that one. For this one, I like these little sort of shapes I had. So what I might do is kind of reinforce that and put it next to some other ones. And maybe I'll have it coming out from the side perhaps. And I'm going to grab some more paint. Actually, I might even put some water in it just to make it a little bit easier to spread. And I'm going to put in those same type of lines. And that's a little bit muted because I added the water. So I'm just going to go over it one more time and make those shapes. Maybe I'll add another one kind of coming up like that. That's kind of a neat little shape. Okay, let's make one right here. I think that looks pretty good. And you know what? Maybe I'll put in a few little dots here. Actually, it's a little bit wet. I had too much water on my brush, so I blotted my brush well. I'm going to put some more here with stronger paint. I think I could use some dots on this one too. Okay, I really want to add some black now. And I may go over some of these shapes again, just like I had done before, or maybe add in the black in another spot altogether, but just a little bit stronger. So I'm just kind of copying those doodly marks that I had earlier, and gonna see where this goes. I really love these sort of doodly little things here. I'm going to let myself kind of do a sort of loose outline around some of my original marks that I made with the pen, and then kind of go from there. I'm going to also overlap a little bit with my white. I don't really want it to be just, I don't know, all meeting right here. So I'm going to maybe add a bigger one here and let that come all the way down, and just kind of go with these marks again. That way we've got a little bit of different overlap. I like that better. All right, for this one, I kind of want to put, I really like those 3 circles that I did. I think I want to turn that one into a flower. So I'm going to use black for my center, and then I might add just a little line coming through here, a little line coming out of here, and maybe out that way, just as an extra accent. And then here, I'm going to do the same thing and trace those shapes, but with black on this one. And I kind of like filling in a couple of these too. That's not a bad idea. Yeah. And it adds that nice contrast. All right. Now let's put our red on. This is crimson, and I think let's start with this one because I know what I want it to be. And I'm going to stay kind of inside where that pen mark was, and I'm going to do a bit of a glaze, but a loose glaze. I'm not going to try to fill in the whole entire thing, but I want to add that pink. Just like this. I really like that. All right, I'm going to do the same thing here. And just kind of have it coming out from the center. I actually like these better than what I did down here, but I think it blends just fine. So I'm just going to go with it. I like that. Okay. Let's do some more circle shapes right around here. And I'll add just a couple of little dots that way, maybe a couple down here, and we'll call that good. Now this one, maybe we'll choose this one to be our main sort of stem. I'll just put some highlights around it, and maybe I'll fill in a little bit with pink and mix it a little bit with this white here, and maybe fill in some of these little leafy spots on the inside of my loops. I think that looks nice. Okay, maybe I'll do that on these ones too. And I'm not being too careful, and in fact, like, my brush is not really, this is a little bit of a big brush for what I'm doing, but I think it looks just fine. So I'm just going to keep going with it and just let that be. And I like that a lot. Okay, for this one, I'm going to outline this shape and add a little bit of color to it, and do the same thing here, but just kind of let this sort of come together, and I'm going to leave that just as it is. Now for this one, I think I'm going to add another flower here. And kind of go in that same loose pattern that I did with my original doodles. So I'm just going to do maybe like a flower trio here. Just like that. And maybe one right down here and up over here. And what I might do is just grab some white really quick and go right in the center. I got too much water. There. Sometimes with this brush, it's like I blot it and then it just doesn't act like it's been blotted. Okay, so here I like this as kind of a focal point. So what I might do is make a second sort of box right here. Just a couple of marks like that. Now I'm going to grab some white and kind of go around a little bit of this, not with full strength, but I just want to highlight these petals a bit more and just let that kind of pop out. And then that will be everything. So let's get our tape off and see what these look like. Oh, right. I love these. I haven't done one of these in a while, and it's been a lot of fun. So I hope you enjoyed this today and broke out your paints and did some with me. And here's our close-up of our finished project, and I'm sure you made something beautiful. So thank you so much for watching, and make sure to give it a thumbs up if you like it, and subscribe if you want to see more like this. And until next time, keep creating.